Hey everybody, and welcome back to another Motivational Monday. If you're returning from the previous week's talk, I welcome you back, and if you're new, welcome to the channel and welcome to Motivational Monday. Today's going to be a little bit different, and where rather than actually having scripted ideas, I'm going to go off of a single point. I want to just kind of free-form rant with you a bit here. Because a lot of times my best motivation comes from just looking in the mirror and talking about what I'm thinking and really extending on that. So with that, let's begin by saying, what would be the point of you giving up? Sure, things may be difficult, sometimes things are very hard to accomplish, but ultimately there is far less to get from quitting than there is from actually trying. I'll elaborate. So many people will say, well, what's the point? I'm only going to fail, or this isn't going to happen, or something along those lines. And sure, maybe sometimes that's true that yes, something is potentially impossible, but ultimately, what is the point of quitting? Sure, maybe you may save some energy, and maybe you might save some time, but do you learn anything, and do you really experience anything of giving up? I'll answer that very quickly. No, you get nothing from it. Quitting is simply just a lazy way out, and it's just not fruitful. It does nothing for you. You gain nothing. You actually lose more than you could have gained from even trying and potentially failing. For instance, say you were going to try to run a 5K, and you went and you didn't really have enough training, but you said, I'm going to give it my best shot, and we'll see what happens. Turns out you only made it part way, and then you walked for a good bit, and then you finished it very slowly, behind everyone else. You could say, I really would have saved a lot of time if I didn't try to do this today. But what did you learn, and what did you achieve if you would have stayed at home? Nothing. Sure, maybe you would have gotten some extra time in watching TV, or potentially playing some video games, or just chilling out and relaxing, but you got far more from actually going, trying, and even if you did fail, you got more from that. What did you gain? Well, you got the experience of seeing where you could make it and knowing how much more you might need to do to get past that point next time. See, because say if you fail at the 2-mile mark, you know that you have to get that remaining distance. You have to train yourself to be able to run past that mark. So yes, it makes sense to understand your limits, and sometimes the only way to find these is to actually try to do something and potentially not succeed at doing it. One of my favorite quotes goes something like, did you try something and fail? Good. Try again, fail better. Because failure is never the end. Failure should only be a motivator for you to get back at that thing and do it right next time, or do it better. If you make it that much further, you have succeeded in at least exceeding what you previously did. You've gained that much more. If you only run 2.5 miles after you failed after 2 miles, you've gained that whole half a mile. Sure, you can find a reason to not do anything. I don't want to go to the store because I don't want to spend money. But if you do go to the store and you do spend money, and you get food, you have sustenance for a week. You have food that you don't have to go out and get tomorrow, nor the next day when you might be busier. I like to see it this way. If you don't do something, then sure, maybe you save yourself some anguish. So sure, if you don't do something, then I guess you save yourself the energy and the time, and potentially even the remorse of failure. But if you do actually try to do something, you have such a broad amount of options. You could succeed at that thing. You could find something out about yourself. You could really attain something. You could fail, but really learn. There's so much to gain. You always have something to gain from trying rather than to not. Even if the experience is somewhat negative, that is something that you gain. That is something that would potentially enrich your life. Failure is not always pain. Failure is education. What's worse? Failing a class and having to repeat it and actually learning and compounding what you knew before, or being passed without the proper knowledge and then with no ability to do what you were trying to learn in that class. For me, I'd say the former is better. Yes, you may waste time, but sometimes that's what it takes. It takes breaking down something to its finest, most tiny and inconspicuous level to really learn what you truly need to get from that thing. Failure should not be what stops you from doing something. The potential to not succeed is not in and of itself a failure of an option. Sometimes there is success to be gained through failing. There's a wealth of knowledge to understand about yourself when you realize what you can and cannot do. Because then when you realize something that you cannot do, you can create a goal for something that you want to be able to do. And then you can attain it and put that failure behind you because you now have that ability. You now have that knowledge, and you now are able to learn what you need to learn or strengthen yourself in a way that will enrich your life and help you put aside the ghost of your failures past. And that's it. That's all I wanted to say. Just don't allow these small things to inhibit you. Do what you can to learn and do what you can to succeed, but don't be afraid to admit that maybe you weren't ready and maybe you have to try again. Anything worth doing is worth doing right. Thank you so much for watching. I hope this helps you in the journey to enrich your life, to feel more passionate and more inspired. And regardless of everything, no matter if no one else is there for you, this video will always be here for you. Stay on the platform which allows you to keep your limitations in sight. Stay passionate in your ability to rectify the failures of the past so that you can put them aside and no longer fail. And stay motivated. Have a great day and a great week.